Football gives men everything: the fame, the money, the adoration of millions. But for some of the most gifted players ever to lace up a pair of boots, that same world became the perfect breeding ground for something far more destructive.
George Best spent Christmas behind bars.
We are talking about addiction, cocaine, alcohol, dependency so deep it swallowed careers whole, drained fortunes, shattered families, and in at least one case, claimed a life.
Football legend Diego Maradona has passed away at the age of 60.
These are the footballers who had it all and lost it to drugs. Diego Maradona. Widely regarded as the best player of his generation and considered by many as the greatest of all time, Diego Maradona is the place to start, because nobody in football history has ever made the contrast between genius and self-destruction look quite so brutal. Maradona's problems with cocaine began after his transfer to Barcelona in 1982. He admitted later, "I have to admit that that's when I got going, and in the worst possible way. When you go into it, you're wanting to say no and end up hearing yourself say yes, because you believe you're going to control it, you're going to be okay, and then it gets more complicated." That quote alone tells you everything about addiction. One line in, you think you are in control, you are not. By the time he was playing for Napoli, he had a full-blown addiction, which interfered with his ability to play football, and yet the football he produced at Napoli was breathtaking. 2 Serie A titles, a UEFA Cup, the hand of God, the goal of the century, all while fighting a war inside himself that almost nobody could see. Club director Corrado Fellaino later revealed the grim schedule. From Sunday night to Wednesday, Diego was free to do what he wanted, but on Thursday, he had to be clean. That was the arrangement. Binge for 3 days. Sweat it out. Play on Sunday. Repeat. During his time at Napoli, Maradona was fined over $70,000 for missing both practices and games. He also drew rebukes from club directors over his increasingly troublesome cocaine use and weight gain. In 1991, after he tested positive for cocaine, Maradona was banned for 15 months while playing for Napoli. Later that year, he was arrested in Buenos Aires for cocaine possession and trafficking. He came back for the 1994 World Cup, and that is where the story gets even darker. During the 1994 World Cup, Maradona played in just 2 games before doping tests found ephedrine in his urine sample. Expelled, sent home in disgrace. Maradona's failed drug test signaled the end of a 17-year international career. In 1997, he failed a drug test for the 3rd time in 6 years, putting an end to his playing career. The failure was only ever described officially as due to prohibited substances, although Boca president Mauricio Macri said he was told cocaine had been present in a urine sample. 3 positive tests, 3 strikes, career over. In a revealing 2008 interview, Maradona said, "Do you know what kind of player I would have been if I had not used cocaine? What a player we've lost. I have a sour taste in my mouth because I could have been a lot bigger. I assure you of that." Maradona died on November 25, 2020, aged 60, while recovering at home from brain surgery for a blood clot.
Football legend Diego Maradona has passed away at the age of 60 after a heart attack.
After decades battling cocaine and alcohol addictions, police officers who confirmed his passing testified that he was about to explode from swelling. "The only thing I remember was that his belly was extremely swollen. He was wearing a black jacket and shorts from Gimnasia y Esgrima de la Plata," testified one officer. "The heart was completely covered in fat and blood clots. The greatest to ever do it. Gone at 60. What a tragedy." George Best. George Best from Argentina to Northern Ireland, from Maradona to the man who might have been football's very first superstar. With his good looks, his dark beetle mop-top hair and playboy lifestyle, Best became one of the first media celebrity footballers. He was nicknamed El Beetle. He was considered one of the greatest dribblers who ever played the game. He won the European Cup with Manchester United in 1968 and was named European Footballer of the Year, and then the drink came for him. The spiral was slow at first, a glass here, a session there, but by the time his playing career wound down in the mid-1970s, Best had a full-blown dependency he could not shake. In 1981, while playing in the United States, Best stole from a woman, taking money from her handbag in order to fund a drinking session. He recalled the incident. "We were sitting in a bar on the beach, and when she got up to go to the toilet, I leaned over and took all the money she had in her bag. A European Footballer of the Year. stealing money from a stranger's bag to get drunk. The contrast is gut-wrenching. In 1984, Best received a 3-month prison sentence for drunk driving, assaulting a police officer, and failing to answer bail.
George Best spent Christmas behind bars.
He spent Christmas 1984 at Ford Open Prison. In September 1990, Best appeared on the primetime BBC chat show Wogan, in which he was heavily drunk and swore, at one point saying to the host, "Terry, I like screwing."
Terry, I like screwing, all right?
Live television, prime time, millions watching, Best didn't care. He checked in and out of hospital through the 90s and into the 2000s. At the end of July and start of August 2002, he had a successful liver transplant at the private Cromwell Hospital in London. He hemorrhaged so badly during the operation that he nearly died. The transplant was performed at public expense on the NHS, a decision which was controversial due to Best's alcoholism. The controversy was reignited in 2003 when he was spotted openly drinking white wine spritzers, told he would die if he drank again, back in the pub within months. That is what addiction does to a person. And on his deathbed, the tabloid News of the World published a picture of Best at his own request, showing him in his hospital bed with jaundice, along with a warning about the dangers of alcohol and his message, "Don't die like me." In the early hours of November 25, 2005, treatment was stopped. Later that day, he died, aged 59, as a result of a lung infection and multiple organ failure. He always joked, "I spent a lot of money on booze, girls and fast cars. The rest I just squandered." The most gifted man of his generation, gone at 59, same age as Maradona, different poison, same ending. Paul Gascoigne. Now here is where things get genuinely heartbreaking. Paul Gascoigne, Gazza, is described by the National Football Museum as widely recognized as the most naturally talented English footballer of his generation, a technically brilliant playmaker who lit up the 1990 World Cup in Italy, made the entire world cry with that famous yellow card moment, and played at the very top of European football for over a decade. And yet the story of Gazza off the pitch is one of the most painful addiction stories in sporting history. Gazza became a global star during the 1990 FIFA World Cup in Italy, where he was one of the standout performers for England. His creativity and energy helped England reach the semi-finals. From there, Rangers in Scotland, where he won Player of the Season in 1995-96, Lazio in Italy, Everton. The world was watching him, but the drinking had been there the whole time. He has openly spoken about how at first he was a happy drunk, but later turned into a sad drunk as alcohol took over his life.
That's when I pick up a drink to cheer myself up. But I used to be a happy drunk, you know? And I ain't anymore.
His addiction escalated dramatically when a serious knee injury sidelined him, and he could no longer rely on the game to keep him grounded. Paul entered therapy sessions in October 1998 when he was admitted into Priory Hospital after a drinking session where he drank 32 shots of bourbon, which left him at absolute bottom. 32 shots of bourbon in one session. He was discharged at his own request 2 weeks into the proposed 28-day stay. His subsequent visits to the Priory turned out to be rarer, and he inevitably returned to alcohol. That pattern, check in, leave early, relapse, became the rhythm of his life for the next 2 decades. He tried everything, despite trying many extreme procedures, such as having pellets sewn into his stomach to make him sick when he drank. Gazza also underwent a treatment bearing similarity to naltrexone, surgery to stop himself drinking, and still the alcohol won. He attended rehab at least 7 times. He was sectioned under the Mental Health Act more than once. The Priory was the first clinic to diagnose him with bipolar disorder, which coexisted with the alcoholism and made everything dramatically worse. One of the most public setbacks in his journey came after the tragic passing of his nephew Jay in 2016. Paul admitted that losing his nephew was one of the lowest points in his life, leading to a relapse during a live tour. He has been honest about the cycle he cannot break, saying, "When I am really down, that's when I pick up a drink to cheer myself up." And later, it's not the drink as such, it's the consequences. You know, it's afterwards. He described himself as a connoisseur of rehabs and is thought to have blown around £20 million during his addiction. £20 million gone. But the man who once made the world cry has never stopped trying. Whatever you think of the chaos, that has to count for something. Adrian Mutu. Let's shift to a different kind of story. Not slow-burning alcoholism, but a single catastrophic decision that blew up one of European football's most exciting careers almost overnight. Adrian Mutu, Romanian striker, electric, technically brilliant, and in the summer of 2003, one of the hottest properties in the game. The then 24-year-old was brought to Stamford Bridge from Parma for just over £19 million after he scored an impressive 22 goals in 36 games for the Italian side. Roman Abramovich had just bought Chelsea. Money was no object. Mutu was the star signing. He made his debut and scored the winning goal from distance in a home victory against Leicester City, and then bagged 2 more in a win at Stamford Bridge against Tottenham Hotspur on September 13th. 4 goals in his opening 3 games. Brilliant start. Mutu even earned a Ballon d'Or nomination and went on to receive the same number of votes as footballing icons Ronaldinho, Filippo Inzaghi, and Francesco Toldo. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart. The arrival of Jose Mourinho in 2004 only worsened his situation. Despite Abramovich's backing, Mutu's place in the squad became uncertain after reports emerged of off-field concerns regarding his lifestyle and alleged drug use. In September 2004, Mutu was banned from football for 7 months after testing positive for cocaine. Chelsea fired him, and then the financial nightmare began. Mutu was subsequently ordered to pay £15.2 million in damages to his former employers, the largest financial penalty in FIFA history. The largest financial penalty in FIFA history, let that sink in. Mutu has since spoken with brutal honesty about what happened. In an interview with The Telegraph, he said, "Taking cocaine during my time at Chelsea was the worst decision I could have made in my career. I was alone and sad, but neither depression nor anything else justified my actions. Zero tolerance, that was Chelsea's policy regarding drugs." And when asked about the career he could have had, he said, "I've reflected on that many times. I believe that for more than a season, I was amongst the best players in the world, so I could have won it easily. But bad decisions prevented me from doing so. I try not to beat myself up about it." He unsuccessfully tried to appeal the fine numerous times and was banned for a second time in 2010, following a positive test at Fiorentina. 2 bans, 2 clubs, 1 career that never quite reached where it should have gone. Adriano. And now, the Emperor, one of the most powerful strikers who ever played the game. A man who had Ronaldo and Zlatan Ibrahimovic's qualities rolled into one terrifying package. Adriano. Former Brazil, Inter and Parma striker Adriano is one of the great enigmas of 21st century football. Powerful, supremely talented and deadly in front of goal, he appeared to have everything necessary to succeed Ronaldo as Brazil's next world-beating striker at the turn of the millennium. By 2004 and 2005, he was arguably the best striker on the planet. Winner of the Copa America in 2004 and the Confederations Cup the following year, at barely 22 years old, Adriano was supposed to win everything. And then, in August 2004, a phone rang in Milan. Adriano received a call while in Milan, telling him that his father Almir had died from a heart attack at age 44. The news broke him and was the catalyst to his playing career unraveling. He later said, "After that day, my love for football was never the same. I was across the ocean in Italy, away from my family, and I just couldn't cope with it. I got so depressed, man. I started drinking a lot. I didn't really want to train. It had nothing to do with Inter. I just wanted to go home." The drinking swallowed him. He admitted, "I was sad and depressed in Italy, and that was when I started to drink. I only felt happy drinking. I drank everything in front of me. Wine, whiskey, vodka, beer. I didn't know how to hide it. I used to go to training drunk in the morning, training drunk in the morning. Inter Milan, one of the biggest clubs on earth, and their striker is showing up drunk. There are many reports of Adriano turning up to training sessions drunk and stinking of booze. He missed many matches for Inter, with the club forced to lie that he had sustained injuries when in reality he was simply not sober enough to play. He tried, he bargained, he cried, he relapsed. He said, "I tried to do what they wanted. I bargained with Roberto Mancini. I tried hard with Jose Mourinho. I cried on Moratti's shoulder, but I couldn't do what they asked. I stayed well for a few weeks, avoided the booze, trained like a horse, but there was always a relapse, over and over again. Everyone blasted me. I couldn't take it anymore." The final years of his footballing life were characterized by a string of brief, unfulfilled contracts, and he ultimately retired in 2016 at the age of 34 after spending just 5 months with Miami United. It was the 4th deal in a row which fell apart in under a year. Adriano bid farewell to football in a testimonial match at the home of Flamengo in December 2024, and many watching were moved to tears. The Emperor had returned, but the kingdom was long gone. He himself put it best, writing, "Football's biggest waste, me." I like that word, waste, not only because of how it sounds, but because I'm obsessed with wasting my life. One of the most haunting self-assessments in sporting history. Mark Bosnich. Here is one most casual fans might not immediately think of, but the story is absolutely wild. Mark Bosnich, Australian goalkeeper, a genuinely elite-level keeper who played for Aston Villa, Manchester United and Chelsea. At his peak, considered one of the best in the Premier League, he established himself as one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League during the 1990s with Aston Villa. Manchester United signed him in 1999 as a replacement for the departing Peter Schmeichel.
When Schmeichel announced he was leaving, Bosnich felt it was time to return.
The funny thing was, at that time, unfortunately, I was injured. My main thought was getting fit.
But injuries and a lack of first-team opportunities led to a decline in form. He left Manchester United for Chelsea in 2001, where he again struggled to find a regular place in the starting lineup. In September 2002, he was released by Chelsea and banned from football for 9 months after testing positive for cocaine. Bosnich was earning $130,000 a week at Chelsea when it all collapsed. But here is where the story gets truly staggering. Bosnich developed a $5,000 a week cocaine addiction and became a recluse. $5,000 every single week, just on cocaine. Bosnich took up to 10 grams of cocaine a day. That is not recreational use. That is a level of dependency that is frankly shocking. Bosnich said that much of his cocaine problem was due to his relationship with British model Sophie Anderton, claiming that for every line of cocaine she had, he had to have one too. His addiction worsened, and he later said, "There was a stage where I got up to 10 grams a day when I was really down in the dumps." At one stage, he almost shot his father with an air rifle, thinking it was an intruder in his home. His father convinced him to quit the drug. That is the level of paranoia and deterioration we are talking about. The dependency contributed to personal isolation, weight gain exceeding 30 kilograms, and a 5-year effective exile from professional football. 5 years, a career built over 2 decades, buried in 5 years of addiction. On July 16, 2008, he was made bankrupt at the High Court in London on the petition of a creditor. Broke, isolated, out of football. But remarkably, Bosnich did eventually find his way back. He returned to Australia and rebuilt his life. Today, working as a respected football pundit. Not every story ends in tragedy, but the fall was as steep as they come. Mario Jardel. The name does not ring bells for younger fans, but this Brazilian striker was one of the most lethal forwards in European football throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s. With his exceptional positioning and finishing ability, he scored 206 goals in 274 matches for Porto, Galatasaray and Sporting CP alone. He won 2 European Golden Shoes, remaining the only Brazilian to do so. 2 European Golden Shoes, ahead of everyone in Europe. In 2000, he scored the golden goal in extra time to beat Real Madrid in the UEFA Super Cup. But behind the goals, Jardel was fighting something he could not beat. Beset by depression, the striker turned to cocaine. And in 2002, it all exploded. He admitted on Portuguese television, "In 2002, I overdosed on cocaine and stayed awake for 7 days. 7 days, no sleep, cocaine." Just before he was due to join Bolton Wanderers in the Premier League. He reflected on it years later, saying, "It all started with bad friendships. Then came my divorce, depression and drugs. This happens a lot in football, but I can't talk about it." In a 2014 interview, Jardel revealed that during his spell at Porto, he consumed cocaine with the knowledge of both the club's doctor and physiotherapist. The club knew, and the downfall was total. By 2003, cocaine dependency and significant weight gain had eroded his physical and mental condition, leading to contract terminations and journeyman stints in lower divisions. He played for 11 more clubs after Bolton, in Italy, Argentina, Cyprus, Australia, Bulgaria, and never recaptured any of his former glory. He told the world, "I don't serve as an example for any child. I say to anyone who listens, don't do what I did. I'm giving this interview to open my heart and to acknowledge my mistakes." Brave words, a wasted career. Claudio Caniggia. Want another wild one? Let's talk about Claudio Caniggia, the blonde arrow. The man whose golden hair and searing pace made him one of the most electric forwards of his generation. An Argentina teammate of Maradona himself. Caniggia was one of Argentina's standout players in the South Americans' run to the 1990 World Cup final.
Caniggia with the chance. Claudio Caniggia.
Starring alongside Diego Maradona. Like Maradona, Caniggia also picked up a ban for cocaine use. The forward failed a surprise doping test after Roma's draw against Napoli in March 1993 and was suspended for 13 months. He later linked up with Maradona at Boca Juniors. 13 months, banned, gone from the game during what should have been his peak years. And the connection to Maradona here is striking. Two of Argentina's best players at the same club, both battling the same drug. Some whisper that the social circle around Boca Juniors in the mid-90s was as dangerous off the pitch as it was brilliant on it. You can draw your own conclusions. Caniggia's story is a reminder that cocaine was not a one-off scandal in 90s football. It was endemic, widespread, and the careers it swallowed were many. From Maradona's genius consumed by cocaine to Adriano's empire dismantled by grief and alcohol, these stories have one thing in common. Talent alone is never enough to outrun the grip of addiction. Which of these stories hit you the hardest? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. And before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Goal Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.